Okay, let's start. Let me just unmute all of you first. There you go. Let me just do this thing. Okay. So there's a lot of you. तुम लोग सब 3 year batch से across centers, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. ठीक है, स्टार्ट करते हैं. तो हम लोग रे ऑप्टिक्स स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं आज. And I will be basically, after each lecture, what I do is I will take photos of these notes, the notes that I'm making during the lecture, and I'll be sharing them with you all. So you have those in case you don't want to write during the lecture, and the recording of the video as well. Plus, I will also be sharing optics ke notes, like separately made notes, like PDF. But it'll take a few days because I have to make some changes in that. So that you'll also get. All right.
Sir, so should we make notes right now or should we wait for after the lecture?
देख तेरे ऊपर है. Usually, I mean, it depends. If you prefer writing your own stuff down, छोटा detail में, तो then it's up to you. Otherwise, I feel that these notes, the ones that I'm making here, you will have them. Plus, the ones that I'll be sharing with you are more detailed. They have solved problems and everything. So those should otherwise work just fine.
Yes, sir.
So, so ray optics is basically a theory of the propagation of light. It's also called geometrical optics. And there are basically two kinds of optics that we will eventually study during the syllabus. This one is called ray optics or geometrical optics, and the other is called wave optics or physical optics. And over there, the difference between the two optics is that over here, it's a rather simple picture of light. You're treating, and you have done this, a lot of this has been done in school, so we'll be doing a little bit more in detail. But this is essentially about light propagating in straight lines. So in general, what happens in physics is that for things like light, or for things like for anything which we are not able to directly observe. So तुम लोग mechanics पढ़ते हो. Mechanics is about physical macroscopic objects. And so over there, it's very convenient to kind of, for anybody who's making a new theory, to kind of come up with observations, because they see stuff happen, see things fall. And so it's easy to kind of make some kind of a story around it. कि ऐसे होता होगा, वैसे होता होगा. और historically भी ऐसे हुआ कि mechanics was the first sort of branch of physics to get the most detailed treatment, because people could actually perform physical experiments and see things in real life and so on and so forth. But then things that relate to more less visible phenomena like light or the behavior of gases, where you can't really see the microscopic detail, generally in some cases में क्या हुआ कि people had to basically speculate, like, because you can't really see light sort of at very fine detail, you can't really know what's going on inside, you have to kind of make up some kind of a story, right? And then the idea is that you make up a story, and then the story lets you predict what should happen, and then you go and perform an experiment. And then if the experiment comes out to sort of say the same thing as your story is saying, you then call your story a theory. You say, okay, this is a well supported theory, this looks right. But over time, what also happens is that theories fail. So like this theory also fails at some scale, जो हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे, that your simple model of light propagating in straight lines ends up predicting something which is not found in reality when you do the experiments correctly. So all theories have their limitations. This theory also has its limitation. It's a very simple theory. How would people have thought that light propagates in straight lines? A basic example could be like in the 1600s or the 1700s, somebody would have observed a candle, and candle ka flame ke samne they would have done that kind of thing जो हम बचपन में करते हैं with the hand and making shadows on the wall, and they would have then felt कि candle में से जो light निकल रहा है, that should basically be sort of shooting like bullets in all directions, radially outwards, and that should explain why when I hold my hand close to the candle, I get a larger shadow on the wall, and when hold my hand close to the wall, I get a smaller shadow on the wall. Because if light is shooting out like bullets in straight lines, then holding my hand close to the candle blocks a bigger proportion of those bullets, thereby creating a bigger shadow on the wall. And if I hold it close to the wall, then not so much, right? So these kind of common observations. Or if I'm standing in a straight line, I mean, of course I'm standing upright and the sun is somewhere here and my shadow is here, then people would have observed that light would kind of come in a straight line, thereby making a shadow, and the geometry would have sort of held up, right? तो उस basis पे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि light propagates in straight lines. But let me also at this point, although it's not really very relevant to ray optics, let me also say how essentially, because we'll eventually end up treating light as a wave, how do the two stories connect to each other, right? After this point, I will not be treating light as a wave at all in this chapter. We will only be talking about light moving in straight lines. But let me just quickly tell you where the idea of straight lines relates to the idea of light as a wave, right? So think of it in this sense. Let's say this is the surface of water. It's a very calm surface of water. And then you maybe tap it in some place, right? So as you tap the surface, you're going to produce ripples on the pond. And the ripples are sort of going to go away from where you tap the surface. And if you keep doing it, of course, you're going to send ripple after ripple, right? So maybe this is the place where you tapped it. This is called the source. It's a point source. And then the waves that come out, the ripples that come out, essentially are going to go in circles because it's a two-dimensional surface and there is no particular preference for direction. And as these ripples propagate outwards, somebody else, maybe a duck, मुझे plastic duck होता है बट्टा वाला yellow color का. So maybe a duck is sitting on the pond, and as the ripples go past the duck bobs up and down, right? The duck doesn't go away with the ripples. The duck only bobs up and down in its place. So from the standpoint of this duck, the energy, because the duck was initially at rest and is now moving up and down, it has acquired some energy. And as far as the duck is concerned, the energy came straight to the duck. The duck really doesn't care about where else the energy went because it's in a sense a local detector. So it only cares about where the energy seems to be coming from. Some other duck in some other location probably thinks this is how energy is propagating, right? So these arrows that I'm making are not physical objects. They're not physical things. They're essentially abstractions. They're just sort of characterizing the propagation direction of the energy that is carried by the wave. These propagation vectors are what we call rays. So the ray is not a physical object. The ray is not something within which there is something else. The ray is simply a direction in space. This thing, the circles that I've made are called wavefronts. We won't have much use for the wavefront concept in this chapter, but we'll be talking about it later. So this is called a wavefront. A wavefront is simply the sort of the region where the energy has already reached, beyond which the medium is completely undisturbed, right? So that's called a wavefront. And so if you notice one fact, in this case at least, the rays are everywhere perpendicular to the wavefront, right? Then eventually you ask another question: what if these waves propagate in this medium? And I mean, if it's only water throughout, then there is nothing else to explain. They just keep propagating. But if they find something else, a different kind of material, something other than water, maybe there is a plank, a wooden plank that is sort of embedded in the water, then a question naturally arises: what happens to these ripples as they come close to this plank and interact with it? What do we find? What happens, right? And even in water waves, you could see what happens. There is a kind of a reflection. There are more waves generated in that direction. There is some complicated stuff happening on this side. So then we think about what happens over here. How is the wave interacting with this other material, right? Which basically leads you to the idea of reflection. अब जब तुम कुछ explore करने जाते हो physical reality में, तो then you have to sort of zoom into it, because if you want to find what is happening at the microscopic scale, you have to really zoom into it and see what must be going on over there, right? So if you zoom into it in this region, let's say, and then you blow it up, then this is the surface of the plank, let's say, and the wavefronts which are interacting with the plank, which are initially circular, but since you are quite far from the source and since you have zoomed onto a very small region, the wavefront looks essentially like a straight line. Do you all understand what this means?
Yes, sir.
And since I said the rays are everywhere perpendicular to the wavefront, by that argument, all the rays that you find here become parallel to each other. They're not really parallel to each other, but they seem parallel to each other at our scale. It's like the surface of the earth is a sphere. The earth is actually a sphere. But since you are usually, I mean, because you're so tiny compared to it and you're locally placed, it seems like a flat surface. Besides, also the gravity of the earth is actually pointing towards the center of the earth. So it's a radial gravity. But if you do experiments within your location, like in a room, and you zoom it up, the surface becomes flat and gravity becomes parallel to itself, right? So that's just an approximate view of this picture. Just like this is an approximate view of this picture. And so then once you have a bunch of these rays and they're all traveling parallel to each other, there is no point to making so many of them. I mean, what one is doing, the rest of them are also doing anyway. So then we further simplify this picture and say, okay, this is the reflective surface and one ray will do just fine for me. And then there must be some law that tells you, or you must have discovered some law that tells you what happens to this ray after it has interacted with the surface. So we'll talk about that law.
Snell's law.
No, in this case, the law of reflection. But if the wave goes into the Planck, that is also another law called Snell's law. So the part of the wave that reflects is governed by one law, and the part of the wave that goes into because as waves propagate and there is any material, the material also picks up that vibration. Maybe a very tiny amount of vibration, but if you're inside the wooden plank, the waves would also get to you. There would be some kind of motion in the plank also, right? So that is the theory of reflection and transmission is called refraction also. So we'll be talking about that also, but I'm just trying to contextualize what this drawing means. So when you look at ray optics textbooks or things, you find that it starts from here and you're simply told that there's a mirror and a ray strikes and it goes like that, this. But there's this backstory behind it. The ray is not some isolated phenomenon. It's really a part of the wave that's sort of propagating outwards from a source, right? So what happens here is that there is a law that tells you how the ray ought to go after it has already interacted with the mirror. ठीक है? And अब इसमें कुछ मैं assume कर रहा हूँ तुम लोगों को already I guess clear होगा. When I make a drawing like this and shaded like this, I hope all of you understand what that means. It's like a reflecting surface whose reflecting side is on this side. So if it's a mirror, then this is where you stand to see yourself in the mirror. Standing on this side does nothing. It is basically coated or painted or something. So the first thing, the first law that tells us what happens to the ray of light is the most simplest. You all know this. Is called the law of reflection, right? So let me also quickly outline what we are going to do in this chapter. We are going to essentially talk about two phenomena, primarily reflection, which is when the wave reflects from a material, and refraction, which is when it goes into the other material. So actually what happens is that at any time when a wave, and this is true for all waves, not just for light, it's true for sound as well. Anytime a wave arrives at some place after which the material changes, then a part of the energy of the wave is reflected back into the original medium, and a part of the energy of the wave goes into the next medium. Like if you must have seen this, all of you have seen this, if you stand in front of a glass window, right? This is not a mirror, simply a clear glass, see-through glass, and you're inside your room, and it's night time, and if there are lights outside, and let's say somebody standing outside and you are inside your room and the room is well lit, right? So somebody who's standing outside can easily see you, right? And these are the kind of things people would have observed to come up with ideas like these, right? If somebody outside can see you, clearly light from you can go through the glass and into their eyes. So definitely light is going through the glass. But if you are inside this well lit room and it's dark outside, you must also have had the experience of basically this mirror, this clear glass kind of behaving like a mirror. So mostly at night, unless there is like light outside, maybe the street lights, you can see the street lights, but mostly what you can see in this glass is the interior of the room, including yourself, right? And so
Internal
clearly,
reflection.
I mean, it's not some other kind of a concept. It's not some complicated thing. It's simply reflection. I mean, you would say that the light that is coming from me must also partially be reflecting from the mirror and getting into my own eyes. Therefore, I am able to see myself. But a part of that same light must also be making its way through the glass outside so that somebody outside is also able to see me. So what I'm telling you is that when the wave arrives,
Yes, sir.
a part of it comes back and a part of it goes through.
So
The same-
interference.
We will talk about that later. Interference is a wave phenomenon. Over here, we have no use for it. I'm only basically at this point talking about the broad principles related to waves. And the same thing happens with sound as well. So if I'm in this room right now speaking, then a lot of the energy that I'm generating, a lot of the acoustic energy that I'm generating is reflected from the walls. So if you are with me in this room, you can hear me quite well compared to if we were in an open ground. तो तुमको उतना मेरा क्लियर आवाज नहीं सुनता क्योंकि बहुत सारा एनर्जी चला जाता. But in a room, I will sound much louder because a lot of the energy that I'm generating reflects back and you get it. But also somebody who's outside and with his ear onto the wall can also hear me speak inside the room. So again, partially energy is reflecting, partially energy is transmitting through, right? And this phenomenon is true across waves. This is not only a light phenomenon. So, so that's why we make it into two separate parts. The part of the wave that reflects back is treated under this topic, and the part of the wave that goes through into the other material is basically treated under this topic. We will be studying reflection in two ways: reflection from a plane surface, a plane mirror, and then reflection from a curved surface, essentially spherical. So we'll be talking about spherical mirrors. Refraction as well, we'll be talking about refraction at a plane interface and then at spherical interfaces. And the second part will automatically lead us to the theory of lenses, refraction at a spherical interface. Then there is a bunch of miscellaneous topics like total internal reflection, which is essentially a refraction phenomenon. We will also talk about the prism. And then we have two more topics, which are basically mains only topics. So questions from these two topics can only be asked in the mains exam, not in the advanced paper, right? These are optical instruments, which is about microscope, telescope, etc. And then there is another phenomenon called dispersion. So these two will come to at the end of the chapter. But these two are only mains topics. You're not going to get any questions on these topics in the advanced paper. All right. So this is more or less the content of this chapter.
Last two topics boards में भी है.
हाँ, boards में भी हैं क्योंकि mains only topics are essentially from NCERT syllabus. And the NCERT syllabus is what is your board syllabus also. So anything that comes in the mains is also a boards thing. I mean, the entire thing is a boards thing. But some topics have not been put in the advanced. A few topics across chapters in physics have not been put in the advanced syllabus. They are part of the mains paper, they are part of the boards exam, but they're not in the advanced paper. So from few chapters in your syllabus, there are a couple of topics per chapter which will not be asked in the advanced paper. But other than that, in the mains paper, in the boards exam, they're part of your syllabus. So coming back to the law of reflection, what is the law of reflection? It's a very simple law. If there is a reflecting surface, first of all, if it's a plane, locally plane, then the first thing you can do is make a normal onto it. So the normal is basically a perpendicular to the plane and it points away from the reflecting side. So if this is the mirror, this paper is the mirror, and this is the shiny side, I'm looking into it, then the normal is perpendicular to the plane pointing upwards. The normal from the mirror points away from the mirror. That's called the normal, right? Then you have some ray of light which is going to strike the mirror and then it's going to reflect off the mirror. ठीक है, इसको हम लोग लिख सकते हैं कि ऐसे है और वैसे है, but there is a convenient way to write it which I'll talk about later. This is called incident light. This is the normal to the mirror and this is called the reflected light. And this angle which the incident light makes with the normal locally is called the angle of incidence, and the angle on the other side which the reflected light makes with the normal is called the angle of reflection. So the law of reflection is actually twofold. There are two parts to it. The first is that the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection are equal. The reflected light makes the same angle with the normal as the incident light does, but that's not the complete law. There is still something else to be said. And the other thing that has to be said is that the incident light, that the normal to the mirror and the reflected light are coplanar. I need to say this because if I don't say this, then I still leave a lot of possibilities open simply on the basis of this. So if this is the normal to the mirror, the paper is the mirror, and this is the normal. This is your incident light, let's say comes at 60 degrees from the normal. Then if I simply say that the reflected light must also make 60 degrees and I say nothing else, there is still the possibility that the reflected light makes 60 on this side or 60 on that side or 60 on the same side. How do I remove all these possibilities? Because the actual behavior of light is that light will go on the other side, make 60, but on the other side, which makes all these three vectors, all these three lines coplanar. They are all in the same thing, right? So I have to say this as well. The law of reflection is complete only when you say both these things. Okay, so that's the law of reflection. Another thing about the law of reflection is that it's a local law. Local law से मेरा क्या मतलब है? If you have a plane surface and a bunch of rays of light strike it, and when a bunch of rays are parallel to each other, we call it a beam. It's just some informal language. A beam is basically a set of parallel rays. Then as they reflect, following the law of reflection, they are again a beam. A beam reflects as a beam. But if I have some irregular reflecting surface, and then a beam strikes it, then maybe this guy goes here, this guy goes here, and this guy goes here. So the beam does not reflect like a beam. Is this a violation of the law of reflection?
No,
Why not?
because you're co-linear with
Okay.
respect to the tangent at that point.
Correct, because the law is a local law. It has to be applied where the ray strikes it, and when you zoom into that region, even though it's a curvature, when you zoom hard enough there locally, it will look planar. So when you're looking at a drawing like this, it is not to say that the entire thing is planar. It is that this could very well be the part of some larger curved surface, and the ray strikes locally, and then you make a tangent and then a normal, right? So if you make a normal here, this angle equals this angle. If you make a normal here, this angle equals this angle. If you make a normal here. So it's a locally correct law. It's a local law. It is true at a point. Fine. All right. So based on just this simple law, we can do a few problems. Let me give you one problem. Let's say there is this room, which is a square room. And let me just say that the middle of this wall is a source of light. And the middle of this wall is a target. And the other two walls are mirrors. This is a mirror. And this is a mirror. Okay. Now the source actually emits a bunch of rays, infinite number of rays. So when you switch it on, an infinity of rays come out, traveling in all possible directions. Only a few of those rays, only a handful of those rays eventually make it to the target. So what you have to do is, assuming that I am placing my coordinate system, so I have a coordinate system, I will bring it so that its origin falls on the source, right? It's a choice. Coordinate system is always a choice. You can put it anywhere. So I'm choosing to put it in this manner so that the source is also the origin of coordinates, right? What you have to tell me is that out of all the infinity of rays that are shot out from the source, which rays, and you have to answer that in terms of their vectors, vector directions, unit vectors, express that in unit vectors. Which unit vectors, which all unit vectors are actually going to be able to make it to the target. So you are allowed to go straight to the target, you're allowed to reflect and go, you're allowed to reflect multiple times and go, but you're not allowed to hit any mirror more than once. Okay, so you can't do like multiple hittings of mirrors. Any one mirror you should hit only once. But in totality, you are allowed any number of reflections, 0, 1, 2, right? So based on this, you have to find the unit vectors. Any answers to questions that I'm asking you, you will write on chat, okay? Don't say it out loud. So anytime there is a question that I ask you, you have to just write your answer down on the chat and I'll check it. Find unit vectors for rays that strike target after any number of reflections, but condition hai, but not strike any mirror more than once. Individually एक mirror को more than once नहीं hit करना है. In total कितने भी reflection तुम ले सकते हो. So all the unit vectors. Let me give you इसके total 4 आंसर हैं. ठीक है. सबसे मुश्किल आंसर मैं पहले ही बता देता हूँ. Is this one. I cap plus j cap by root 2 कर दोगे तो आंसर आ गया. बाकी 3 तुम लोग मेरे को बताओ. ठीक है पार्थ, वो तो तुम मैंने बता ही दिया है. तेजस तेरे आंसर्स क्या हैं? नहीं, जो 2 वाला है वो करेक्ट नहीं है। नहीं, पार्थ करेक्ट नहीं है। तेजस नहीं, करेक्ट नहीं है। हाँ, ऑफ कोर्स वो दो करेक्ट हैं। ओके, सो लेट मी गिव यू टू आंसर्स, द टू ट्रिवियल आंसर्स आई विल टेल यू डायरेक्टली. One is directly hitting the target, which is I cap plus j cap by root 2 because you want a unit vector. So this is at 45 degrees. The other option is at 135 degrees. Goes like this, then goes like that, then goes like that, right? So that is also easy. उसका I cap negative है और j cap positive और root 2 से divide कर दो. तो दो simple answer जो है वो I cap plus j cap by root 2 and minus I cap plus j cap by root 2 है. Other than that, tell me the remaining two answers. Avnish, correct है तेरा आंसर, but it's not a unit vector. Directionally it's correct, but its magnitude is not 1. नहीं, पार्थ करेक्ट नहीं है। तेजस करेक्ट नहीं है। वो वाले जाने दो, बार बार मत लिखो, डोंट वेस्ट योर एफर्ट। वो दो मैंने बता दिया ना, उनको जाने दो, लीव देम असाइड. आई कैप प्लस जे कैप बाय रूट 2 एंड माइनस आई कैप प्लस जे कैप बाय रूट 2 आर गिवन. Forget them, leave them aside. Tell me the other two answers only. No, Tejas, not right. Check again. No, Parth, not correct. Varun, not correct. Bhavya, not correct. अवनीश तेरा करेक्ट था, बट वो यूनिट वेक्टर नहीं था. अच्छा, ओके, फाइन, ठीक है, चलेगा. रूट लिख देना बस, जस्ट राइट रूट, और आरटी लिख दे, डजंट मैटर. नो पुणे, नॉट करेक्ट. नो पार्थ, नॉट करेक्ट. परिजात, नॉट करेक्ट. अवनीश नहीं करेक्ट नहीं है ये वाला. तेजस करेक्ट नहीं है. आर्या करेक्ट नहीं है. नहीं, तेजस नॉट राइट. भव्या करेक्ट है. प्रणव नॉट करेक्ट. रिदम करेक्ट. रिदम करेक्ट आंसर है. पिनाक नॉट करेक्ट. तेजस स्टिल नॉट करेक्ट. पार्थ नॉट करेक्ट. अवनीश नॉट करेक्ट. परिजात करेक्ट. सिद्धार्थ इनकरेक्ट. सर्वा इनकरेक्ट. सेतु इनकरेक्ट. अर्नव इनकरेक्ट. अवनीश करेक्ट. नहीं, द मिरर्स आर ओनली ऑफ दीज डायमेंशंस. रिदम करेक्ट. रिदम करेक्ट है, मतलब मोर और लेस करेक्ट है. साइन का देख एरर है. तेरा पहला आंसर और तेरा दूसरा आंसर जो है, दे आर मोर और लेस करेक्ट, बट देयर इज एन इशू विद द साइन. चेक, बिकॉज़ द वे द वेक्टर इज गोइंग. पार्थ करेक्ट है, लेकिन यूनिट वेक्टर नहीं है. मुक्ता नॉट करेक्ट. हाँ, पार्थ करेक्ट है दोनों आंसर अभी. परिजात करेक्ट है. साइन में देख लियो. चेक द साइन आल्सो. पिनाक नॉट करेक्ट. पार्थ नॉट करेक्ट. तेजस नॉट करेक्ट. श्रेया नॉट करेक्ट. अर्नव नॉट करेक्ट. सिद्धार्थ नॉट करेक्ट. हाँ, परिजात करेक्ट. सर्वा नॉट करेक्ट. प्रांजलि नॉट करेक्ट. सेतु करेक्ट है, मगर ये तो मैं बोल चुका हूँ ऑलरेडी, ये दोनों आंसर्स 45 और 135 पे जाते हुए आंसर्स मैं ऑलरेडी बोल चुका हूँ. ओम नॉट करेक्ट, अनुज नॉट करेक्ट, प्रणव नॉट करेक्ट. शुड आई सॉल्व इट नाउ?
So please wait.
अच्छा ठीक है, टेक अ मिनट मोर.
Sir, solve, please.
हाँ रुक जाते, 1 मिनट और ले लो, फिर मैं करता हूँ सॉल्व. प्रिया करेक्ट है, दोनों आंसर करेक्ट है. तेजस गलत है. तेजस ये कैसा आंसर है तेरा? वेक्टर करेक्ट है, उसका मॉड गलत है या कुछ और हो गया है? So of course the two easy ones. हाँ तेजस करेक्ट है, पहला वाला करेक्ट है, दूसरा वाला सही नहीं. The two easy options are the one that goes at 45 degrees, goes straight to the target. So that's I cap plus j cap by root 2. And the other one that goes at 135 degrees because it strikes here, and then gets here. And so that one is minus I cap plus j cap by root 2, right? So those are two easy ones. Let me tell you the third and the fourth. And the third and the fourth are actually sort of mirror images of each other. Another way we can strike it is that we can strike it here and then get here. So
सर 5 मिनट बाद.
क्या भी कर रहे हो सॉल्व?
हाँ सर.
ठीक है कर लो. नहीं चिन्मय करेक्ट नहीं है, पिनाक करेक्ट है, करेक्ट आंसर है पिनाक. और दूसरा भी निकाल लो, वो उससे ही आ जाएगा मोर और लेस. नहीं सेतु करेक्ट नहीं है. सिद्धार्थ करेक्ट नहीं है, गौरव करेक्ट नहीं है. मुसाब करेक्ट नहीं है, हर्षित करेक्ट नहीं है, तेजस करेक्ट है दोनों आंसर अभी। सेतु करेक्ट है आंसर सभी तेरा दोनों। गौरव करेक्ट है तेरा आंसर अभी। चलो मैं सॉल्व करता हूँ। तो जो थर्ड ऑप्शन और फोर्थ ऑप्शन है वो ये है कि हम यहाँ से जाके इसको ठोक के और फिर इधर जा सकते हैं। तो अगर तुम लोगों ने कभी कैरम तो नहीं, कैरम में तो यहाँ कोई पॉकेट नहीं होती है, लेकिन अगर पूल खेला है तो पूल में यू नो दैट इफ यू हैव टू सॉर्ट ऑफ रिबाउंड एंड स्ट्राइक हियर एंड गेट हियर, then you have to hit it somewhere here. And also in that, within that, you also have to understand that you can't really hit the middle. So if this is the middle of it, of the other side, then you must not hit the middle of the middle, because if you hit the middle of the middle, by symmetry, you're going to end up here, right? So actually where you have to strike is a little to the right of this point, so that it goes here, right? So let's say somewhere here we are going to end up striking, and this is the ray that goes from there, and then it makes its way to the target. Okay? So let's say this distance, let me assume the sides of the room are a in length. That is not relevant to the answer, but we'll assume some length. And this much is half a by 2 from here till here. So out of that, let me call this part x. I don't know where it has to strike, but I know that it has to strike slightly to the right of the midpoint. And so the remainder of this side from here till here is basically a by 2 minus x, right? Now I can basically drop a perpendicular from here and here. In geometry problems, right triangles are always the best because we can write trigonometric equations for them. So you want to make as many right triangles as possible. By reflection, this angle is the same as this angle. Let me call both of them theta. And then what I'm going to do is, in the small triangle and in the long triangle, I'm going to equate the value, right? I'll simply equate the value of tan theta. So the solution is equating tan theta.
चार होंगे वो आपको कैसे पता चला?
कौन सा
सर 4 रेज होंगे वो कैसे पता चला?
क्या चीज?
सर आपने बोला ना पहले कि 4 रेज है।
क्योंकि मुझे आंसर पता है पहले से। बट इन जनरल ऑफ कोर्स तू ऐसे भी जज कर सकता है ना कि देखो एक सीधा गया, एक इधर से गया। अब क्या ऑप्शन बचते हैं? तुम किसी मिरर को 2 बार स्ट्राइक करना अलाउड नहीं है तुम्हें, तो एक ऑप्शन ये बचता है कि उसको एक बार ठोक के पहुंच सकते हैं और एक बार इसको ठोक के पहुंच सकते हैं, और कोई पॉसिबिलिटीज बचती नहीं है, वरना फिर मल्टीपल बार हिट करना पड़ेगा मिरर को। तो अब मैं tan थीटा को इक्वेट कर रहा हूँ, तो tan थीटा जो है वो छोटे ट्राइंगल में कितना हो जाएगा? परपेंडिकुलर ओवर बेस। परपेंडिकुलर जो है वो x है और बेस जो है छोटे ट्राइंगल का वो by 2 है, this is half. And in the big triangle, the perpendicular is the whole thing from here till, sorry, it is this much, which is a by 2 minus x, and the base is the whole thing, which is a, right? So by solving these equations with each other, I will get x equals to a by 6. And once I get x equals to a by 6, I automatically have tan theta. Therefore, tan theta, which is x over a by 2, a is a by 6, is 1 over 3. Now, if I have tan theta, I basically have sin theta and cos theta also, because in some triangle, if the tan of theta is 1 by 3, then I also know the hypotenuse root 10. And therefore, in the same triangle, the sine of theta is 1 over root 10, and the cosine of theta is 3 over root 10. ये क्यों चाहिए? क्योंकि अगर ये एंगल थीटा है, तो इधर भी एंगल थीटा है, और मेरे को ये वाला यूनिट वेक्टर ही फाइंड करना है। अब अगर तुम्हें कोई वेक्टर पता है और उसका y एक्सिस से एंगल और x एक्सिस से एंगल पता है और वेक्टर का मैग्नीट्यूड पता है, तो यू कैन राइट दैट वेक्टर एज मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ वेक्टर sin थीटा I कैप and magnitude of vector cos theta j cap, right? So this unit vector therefore becomes वन, तो उसका मॉड है क्योंकि यूनिट वेक्टर है। sin थीटा जो है वो I कैप के साथ आएगा इस तरफ, और cos थीटा जो है वो j कैप के साथ आएगा। तो therefore आंसर क्या हो गया? 1 plus 3 1 over root 10 I cap plus 3 j cap. That's one of the answers.
सर
Yeah.
इसे एक अलग मेथड से भी कर सकते थे ना?
बताओ।
सर जैसे कि हमें पता है कि x में टोटल डिस्टेंस रे को a by 2 ट्रैवल करना है और y में टोटल 3a by 2 ट्रैवल करना है, वैसा उससे मिल गया ना, क्योंकि रेशियो दोनों का 3:2
करेक्ट है,
है, 3:1
करेक्ट है,
है।
करेक्ट है, वो भी करेक्ट है। एसेंशियली तुम क्या कर रहे हो, तुम ये कह रहे हो कि जो रे यहाँ से रिफ्लेक्ट होके आया उसको अगर रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं करें, उसको फोल्ड करके ऊपर कर दें,
हाँ सर, वैसे ही।
हाँ, तो वो पूरा एक बड़ा सा ट्रायंगल बन जाएगा, तो भी तेरे को करेक्ट एंगल मिल जाएगा। दैट्स आल्सो परफेक्टली फाइन। तो अब मेरे को ये मिल गया है, तो मैं दूसरा वाला भी निकाल सकता हूँ। दूसरा वाला एक्चुअली एकदम कॉपी है इसका। उसमें क्या होगा कि इधर ऐसा ठोकेंगे हम और फिर ऐसे जाएंगे, ठीक है। तो वो इसका उल्टा ही है एक सेंस में, ऐसे अगर देखोगे तुम, मतलब टारगेट को सोर्स मानते हुए और सोर्स को टारगेट मानते हुए। एसेंशियली ये पूरी सिचुएशन इस लाइन के अबाउट सिमेट्रिक है। देयर इज वन डायरेक्ट पाथ, there is one this kind of path, square type path, and then there is two of these which are also mirror images of each other. So once you have this vector can also be found easily. उसमें केवल ये करना है कि उसका जो i component है वो नेगेटिव है और j component पॉजिटिव है इस वेक्टर के लिए। Besides also जो इस वेक्टर का वर्टिकल कंपोनेंट है वो इसका हॉरिजॉन्टल होना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर ये थीटा है तो इधर में ये थीटा बनेगा, ठीक है। तो जो इसका y कंपोनेंट है वो इसका x कंपोनेंट हो गया विद द नेगेटिव साइन, और जो इसका x कंपोनेंट है वो उसका y कंपोनेंट हो गया। सो द अदर आंसर इज मैग्नीट्यूड उसका 1/√10 ही है, और यहाँ पे -3 i कैप और ये +j कैप हो जाएगा। मेक सेंस? ऑलराइट। Now, since we are anyway talking of light traveling as vectors, we can take our law of reflection and recast it in vectorial form, right? And I'll also then give you a problem where it will be helpful to use it in this notation. So let me say the law of reflection in vector form. And the whole thing I'm going to write in terms of unit vectors. So let me first say that if this is the mirror, then the normal to the mirror is a unit vector called n cap. The incident light is a unit vector called I cap, which, by the way, since it's a vector, you are free to slide it wherever you want, but you must keep it parallel to itself. So I can always bring it to this side. And the reflected light is also a unit vector called R cap. Okay? And so if I express all of these lights in terms of their unit vectors, which basically are about directions, then the law of reflection is now given by this. So naturally तुम्हें पता क्या होता है? तुम्हें पता होता है कि मिरर कहाँ पर है और तुम्हें पता होता है कि इंसिडेंट लाइट, like in the sense of input and output, what do you know? You know where the mirror is, so you know the normal, and you know your incident light. What you're supposed to find, ordinarily speaking, is where the reflected light goes. So the expression for the reflected unit vector in terms of the other two, which I know, is that I take the incident unit vector and then I subtract from it twice the dot product of the incident and normal, and then I multiply it to the normal unit vector. This is the law of reflection in vectorial notation. I'm not going to be proving it. It's not very difficult to prove though, but I'll skip the proof. I will simply tell you how it is correct. I mean, I'll just verify it for you. Okay? And but let me say this thing. मैंने पीछे बोला कि law of reflection actually twofold है, right? There are two parts to it. One is that the angle on this side and the angle of this side are equal, and the other part of it is all these three things are coplanar. तो अगर ये complete law of reflection है, so this statement itself must encapsulate both those facts. So the fact of these three being coplanar is already encapsulated in this form. The fact that I have written the reflected unit vector, see, I dot n is a scalar, so that will become simply a number. A number in front of a vector is essentially a scalar. It scales the size of the vector. It doesn't change the direction of the vector. It just makes the vector longer or shorter, right? So this is a scalar. It's like number 2. So all of this is just number. So the vector part of it is I cap and n cap. And by the way that this is written, since you are expressing the R cap vector in terms of the I cap and the n cap vector, it is automatically true that these three things are coplanar. Do you understand how?
So n is actually an imaginary line. So how are you saying that n will have a magnitude?
No, it doesn't have a magnitude. It only has a direction. Once you have a mirror, the direction normal to it is an unambiguous direction in space. So I can always have a unit vector in that direction. There is no size to it.
तो सर I dot n कैसे ढूंढेंगे क्योंकि mod I
यूनिट वेक्टर है,
होगा
यूनिट
ना?
वेक्टर है, I भी यूनिट है, n भी यूनिट है, तो उनका जो
Okay.
डॉट प्रोडक्ट होगा essentially will simply be the cosine of the angle between them.
Understood.
1 cos theta.
सर इसे याद रखना है.
हाँ, ये याद रखना होगा क्योंकि अगर कुछ उस टाइप का प्रॉब्लम आएगा जो कि अभी मैं देता हूँ एक प्रॉब्लम जहाँ पे इस तरीके से करोगे तो काफी इजीली हो जाएगा, और अगर कन्वेंशनल तरीके से करने की कोशिश करोगे तो थोड़ा सा पेनफुल होगा. ठीक है. तो ये है. अच्छा, एक सेकेंड, बिफोर वी डू दिस लेट मी ऑल्सो टेल यू वन मोर थिंग. लेट मी से दिस इज, I'll come back to it in a second. Let me also talk about something else before we talk about this part. So when you're talking of reflection, let me take a two-dimensional case. एक मिरर है एंड अज्यूम कर लो कि वो मिरर जो है खुद एक्स एक्सिस के अलोंग है, मिरर का प्लेन. ठीक है. एंड the normal to it is of course the y direction. So the normal is simply the y cap direction. ठीक है. If some light is approaching from here, and let me say that the ray of light is being expressed like a vector, not as a unit vector, you can always unitize it by dividing it by the mod. But let me say a ray of light approaches such that its horizontal component is 3 and its vertical component is -4. So essentially a ray of light is coming along this path. तो अगर तुम इसको यूनिट वेक्टर की तरह लिखना चाहते हो तो उसका 3/5 क्योंकि इसका मॉड 5 बनेगा, तो यू कुड से दैट द इंसिडेंट यूनिट वेक्टर is 3/5 I cap and -4/5 j cap, right? Then when it reflects from this mirror, what ends up happening is that the 3, the part that is parallel to the mirror, the component that is parallel to the mirror, stays as it is. It remains exactly 3. But the component that is normal to the mirror, the one that is sort of banging straight into the mirror, will invert. That is essentially the meaning of reflection. Reflection is essentially the flipping of the component that is going straight into the mirror. So that will flip and that will basically now point up. And so your reflected light will be going along this path. And that is correct because this angle is exactly the same as this angle. And this angle is, by the way, the same angle as this angle. And this angle is the same as this angle. Right? So your reflected light, if you want to write it as a unit vector, becomes 3/5 I cap, but then the j part has been flipped in direction. -4/5 का +4/5 हो गया. So one
रिफ्लेक्शन में ऑलवेज यही होगा ना कि हॉरिजॉन्टल कंपोनेंट एज इट इज और वर्टिकल फ्लिप होगा.
करेक्ट. चिन्मय तू बोल रहा है वो भी चीज से करेक्ट है. यू कैन ऑलवेज विजुअलाइज दिस as an perfectly elastic collision with a wall. You know that in perfectly elastic collisions at an angle, the component of the momentum which is parallel to the wall is unaffected because the wall, since the wall is perfectly smooth, if a ball comes and strikes the wall, then the wall cannot apply a force on the ball in this direction because there is no friction, there is no grip, right? It cannot grab the ball like this. So this momentum of the ball is conserved, but the momentum of the ball that is into the wall is completely inverted by the wall. And in that case also the angles are the same on either side. So reflection can be visualized, and in fact historically also was visualized at some point of time as a collision of a light particle with a perfectly planar surface, right? नहीं सेतु, जो तू बोल रहा है photons, आज की डेट में हम वैसे नहीं विजुलाइज करते हैं. We don't imagine it to be a photon striking it with this momentum and thereby reflecting it. And the reason for that is that the photon is basically a small particle, it's a quantum particle. And if you're at the scale of the photon, then the surface is not really a surface, right? It's not really some kind of a straight line. I hope you all understand. Surfaces are an abstraction. They are only true at my scale. Fundamental level, if you zoom so much that you can actually see a singular photon, then this will not look like a surface. It is simply a collection of atoms arranged one after the other. It's like if you have a forest which has trees in it, right? The bunch of trees, here, trees. And then before the forest, there is a huge field, completely empty field, and then the forest starts. If you look at this in a sort of a photo taken from above or in a Google map thing, then you will kind of see that there is like a line here which separates the green from the brown. But you have to understand that the line is really an abstraction of your scale because you're looking at it from such a large scale. You are sort of missing the trees for the forest. There's a line, and it's a. But if you were at that scale, if you're running from the field, you would not bang into the line. The line has no physical reality. You would simply run into the forest. So you can't really visualize this as a singular photon striking a surface, because first of all, there is no surface at the scale of the photon, right? But I mean, in sort of conceptual terms, you can think about it. कि भाई ठीक है, एक चीज आके strike कर रहा है, and then off it goes. So the main point that I'm trying to make here, which you have to keep in mind, is that what happens in reflection is that the component that is normal to the reflection gets flipped. That is really the essence of reflection. The component that is parallel to the mirror stays as it is. ठीक है? तो अब इसको तुम 3D में generalize करके इस question को answer करो. If I have a place where I have 3 mutually perpendicular mirrors meeting, so let's say the X, Y, and Z directions, and all 3 planes are mirrors, right? Imagine that तुम रूम में जहां बैठे हो उधर का कोई कॉर्नर देखो नीचे फ्लोर का, जहां पे फ्लोर और 2 वॉल्स आके मीट करते हैं, right? And then imagine that both the walls and the floor are mirrors, plane mirrors. ऐसी जगह की बात हो रही है. If I have a laser that I can shoot a ray of light towards this region somewhere, right? Not necessarily at the rightmost corner. I'm not talking about hitting the corner straight. I can hit one of the mirrors. My question first of all to you is it possible for me to shoot a ray of light in the general direction and have the ray of light strike all 3 mirrors, not together, one after the other, but is it possible to strike all 3 one after the other?
Yes.
Right? You all understand? Even if you don't want to visualize light, you can imagine throwing a crazy ball. एक crazy ball है तुम्हारे पास छोटा सा, और उसको तुम फेंकने वाले हो. So is it possible to strike the wall and the floor? Yes, it is. So if in case you want to strike, let's say only one wall, this wall, neither the floor nor this wall, you are going to have to shoot the ray parallel to both this plane and this plane. So it will come and strike it normally. If you want to hit the wall and not the floor, then you're going to have you can put it at an angle, but it must still be parallel to the floor. If it's parallel to the floor, it can never strike the floor. So if you want to hit the wall and the wall but not the floor, then you must shoot it at an angle, and then it strikes both and comes back. If you want to strike all 3, then the ray of light must be parallel to neither plane. Do you all understand? It must be parallel to neither plane. It must be sort of at some arbitrary angle. So it goes here and ding dong ding karke jayega, right? So if I say that let me just state the problem. X, Y, Y, Z and ZX are plane mirrors, and let's say the ray of light that goes and strikes them, और यहाँ पे मैं इसको इंसिडेंट रे की वेक्टर की तरह लिख देता हूँ, यूनिटाइज नहीं कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? I mean it's just more effort. I will simply write it as a vector. Imagine that I have divided by the mod, but doesn't matter. Let me say that the ray of light is 2 I cap minus 7 j cap plus 11 k cap. Let's say this is the ray of light. Can you tell me what is the final reflected ray of light after it has struck all 3 of these mirrors? After all 3 reflections have occurred, how can I write? And you don't have to make a unit vector out of it. Simply write it in terms of, simply tell me it in terms of these 3 numbers only. What does the final reflected light look like? Correct, Arya. Setu, तेरा एक जो है साइन फ्लिप नहीं हुआ है. All 3 signs will flip essentially, right? The final outcome will be this will become minus 2 I cap, this will become 7 j cap, this will become minus 11 k cap. All 3 signs will flip. And the reason all 3 signs are flipping is because of this idea that when your ray of light strikes the XY plane, let's say it strikes the XY plane first, then what is the component normal to the XY plane? The Z component of the light. The Z component is perpendicular to the mirror. The XY are parallel to the mirror. So then after reflecting from XY, this 11 will have flipped the sign, but these 2 will have remained the same. That vector is some intermediate vector. After having struck XY and then going before it has struck YZ or ZX, that vector can also be written. You can also write the intermediate vector after the first, after the second, after the third reflection. So after hitting XY, only the sign on 11 will get flipped. Then it goes and strikes YZ. In that case, the sign on 2 will get flipped because YZ के normal X direction है. So X का sign flip हो जाएगा. और फिर lastly जब वो ZX plane को hit करेगा तो उसका Y component का sign flip हो जाएगा.
Sure. But if you visualize this vector, it is not hitting all the 3 sides. क्योंकि plus 7 k cap है, so it's going away from the mirrors.
ठीक है, that is fine. Maybe it is not really oriented in the correct manner. Like I said, there is a way to hit all of them, and maybe some way doesn't hit all of them, right? Maybe if it is forming like this, it is already something that has struck and come back. So this was just some arbitrary vector I took. I didn't really check whether it strikes all three of them. And Tejas, जो तू बात बोल रहा है वो correct है कि our effort was not needed here because our normals to the planes were very convenient. They are your standard x, y, and z. But in general, the trouble is if the mirrors are not the nice x, y, y, z, and zx planes, then you will not simply be able to take the vector notation and flip the signs. And that's really where the vector version of the law of reflection will be needed, right? So let me write that down here. First of all, let me go back to the vector form, and then I'll talk about that problem. So this is the vector form of this thing. And like I said, it basically captures both facts. The coplanarity of I, n, and r is automatically ensured because since you are expressing r in terms of two vectors I and n, automatically r will be a vector in the plane determined by I and n. You can't take two vectors. Any two vectors make a plane, first of all. So let's say you take I and n, you already have a plane. But if you are going to make r using only I and n as vectors, some linear combination of these two, you're scaling this, and then doing a resultant, the third vector automatically has to be in the plane of these two vectors. Because since, let's say, these two are in the xy plane themselves, neither of them has a z component. So any vector created by combining these two vectors, even if you scale them, make them shorter and longer, and then combine, a vector created by such an operation will also not have a z component. So it will not have a component perpendicular to the plane. So it will also end up falling in the same plane. So coplanarity is automatically ensured by just the fact of this statement. How do we say कि angles are also ensured? That is in the construction of this expression. The angle on this side and the angle on this side are the same, which is something that you can easily verify. Is that if, let's say, you say that these angles are theta, and if I then write I, n, and r in the conventional notation, let me say that this is your x and this is your y. And what I will do is, जो हम conventionally I cap और j cap लिखते हैं, मैं इनको उस फॉर्म में नहीं लिखूंगा क्योंकि unfortunately I cap is reserved now for the incident unit vector, not the conventional x component. So I will simply write the x unit vector as x cap and the y unit vector as y cap. It's just a change of notation so as to avoid confusion with the incident unit vector, right? So in this Cartesian notation, what is my incident unit vector? It forms an angle of theta with the negative. ये ऐसे जा रहा है, तो इसको अगर रिजॉल्व करेंगे ऐसे x और y में, तो जो इसका y कंपोनेंट है वो cos थीटा होगा, जो x कंपोनेंट है वो sin थीटा होगा. तो ये बन जाएगा sin थीटा x कैप माइनस cos थीटा y कैप. नॉर्मल यूनिट वेक्टर क्या है? इट इज सिंपली y कैप. और जो रिफ्लेक्टेड यूनिट वेक्टर है वो क्या है? वो उधर जा रहा है, थीटा वो नॉर्मल y से बना रहा है और x से ये, तो sin थीटा x कैप प्लस cos थीटा y कैप, right? And if you take this I and this n and you put them in this, you will see that it will come out exactly. So let me just do the RHS of this equation. The RHS of this equation, which is I cap minus 2 I dot n cap, becomes I cap is sin theta x cap minus cos theta y cap, and then minus 2 times I have to take a dot of I and n. When I take a dot of I and n, x dot y becomes 0, y dot y becomes 1, and I'm left with a negative cos theta. So there is a minus cos theta, and then there is the n cap, and n cap is simply y cap. So you will see that this is going to become sin theta x cap, and this is minus, this is plus 2. So it becomes plus cos theta y cap, which is nothing but r cap, LHS of this. So I haven't really proved this, but I have verified this for you that it is indeed correct. It does capture the fact of theta being equal on both sides, and coplanarity is automatically ensured. So this is the vector version of the law of reflection. Where is this useful? It will be useful in a problem of this kind, जो हमने पीछे किया, planes को strike कर रहा है. But उस problem में ये था कि plane जो है वो अच्छे थे, x, y, y, z, zx थे, तो उनके normals भी well defined थे, x, y, z were the normals, and since vectors are written in terms of x, y, and z, you could easily identify which part of the vector is normal to which mirror, and therefore flip it, right? It was an easy operation. But if your mirror is some arbitrary plane, then it's not going to be that easy. So let me say, let me take a problem on that page only. Let me do it right here. Let's say the x, y, and z are these, and then through the point this, and this, 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, and 0, 0, 3. There is a plane that passes through these 3 points. I will say, Tejas, I will share photos with you. So a plane passes through these 3 points. If you pick 3 points, you determine a plane automatically. So this is the plane. So this is not some nice plane. This is not the x, y, z, or zx plane. It's some arbitrary plane oriented at an arbitrary angle, right? This itself is the mirror, right? And first of all, I hope you understand what this drawing is supposed to represent, right? It's actually an infinite plane. Only this triangular part is not the mirror. It's actually a huge infinite plane. It's just oriented at an angle to the coordinate system. So it intersects the coordinate. It's like there is a huge plane in the world and a part of the plane comes into your room from the corner. तो उसका जो part room के अंदर कट करके आ गया है वो तुम्हें triangle की तरह दिख रहा है. But the remainder of it is outside the room. It's a huge massive plane, infinitely large plane, right? And as of yet, I haven't really told you which side of this plane is the shiny side. So is the side facing us the shiny side, और या फिर वो जो पीछे खोपचा है उधर खाली जगह है उसके पीछे वाला साइड शाइनी साइड है, ये पता नहीं है, ठीक है? अब मान लो कि एक इंसिडेंट रे ऑफ लाइट आता है. Let me say that the incident ray unit vector.
Excuse me, sir.
हाँ बोलो.
डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया है अभी.
क्या चीज डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया? What are you not able to?
No, sir, I was disconnected. It was a connection issue on my side. Can
अच्छा. Do you want me to explain what the problem is?
you please repeat what 10 seconds ago?
Yeah. So the problem now is that a plane, which is a mirror, passes through these 3 points: 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, and 0, 0, 3. And it's actually an infinitely large plane. The part of it which I've shaded here is only the part that is in this coordinate system. I mean, so it's a huge plane which is intersecting with the coordinate system at some angle. The remainder of it is outside, but the part that is within this quadrant is actually the part that you are seeing. But the plane extends out, right? And this is the mirror. This plane itself is the mirror. But अभी ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं कि इसका कौन सा साइड शाइनी है. So is the side facing us the reflecting side, or is the side जो पीछे की तरफ है वो शाइनी है, वो हमको पता नहीं है. And then I'm going to write down an incident ray of light, and you are supposed to find the reflected ray of light. So let's say the incident ray of light is 2 by 3 I cap x cap minus 1 by 3 j y cap and plus 2 by 3 z cap, right? This is the incident ray of light. It strikes this mirror, and it must strike it somewhere because it's an infinite plane. It's probably going to strike it somewhere, and then it reflects, right? You're supposed to find the reflected ray of light. ठीक है, तो इसको try करो. Think about it. I guess all of you can understand. Now it's not simply a matter of just flipping the sign on any of these, because the normal to the mirror is neither x nor y nor z. So you can't simply take some component and flip it. थोड़ा लंबा जाएगा ये, क्योंकि इसमें पहले तो हमें फिगर आउट करना पड़ेगा. So that's fine. ठीक है, वो भी चलेगा. Do you guys want to do this as homework?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. So it's a little long-winded, but think about it. Do it step by step. Figure out how to actually do this, and you'll require this also. Okay.
So can you just show the question for a minute, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
हो गया, देख लिया.
Yes, sir.
So next up, we can also talk about something else. So another thing that happens is, if let's say you have a mirror, plain mirror, and a ray of light comes from here, and let's say the ray of light is going to come from the same direction. So it's probably coming from a laser, and the laser is fixed in the room. And then it shoots a ray of light towards the mirror, and the ray of light reflects. Right? If I take this mirror and I rotate the mirror while the laser is still on, it's still shooting the incident ray of light. If I rotate the mirror, let's say in this direction by some angle alpha, right? Or by some angle theta, then because the mirror has rotated, the reflected light also would have rotated by some angle. Compared to its original position, it would also have rotated through some angle. That angle through which the reflected light has rotated is twice theta, is 2 times the angle through which the mirror has rotated. And the reason for that is, of course, since initially this is the normal, let's say, so then you make some angle alpha alpha on either side. Now, if the mirror rotates through an angle of theta like this, the normal also rotates through an angle of theta, right? And so the angle between the incident and the normal has increased by theta. It used to be alpha before, and this angle was also alpha. Now this angle is actually alpha plus theta. So the reflected light now must also make an angle of alpha plus theta. The whole angle now between the new reflected and the normal is alpha plus theta. So the angle between the new reflected light, this light, and the incident light is now in totality twice of alpha plus twice of theta, right? The whole angle from here to here is 2 alpha plus 2 theta, while initially the angle between the incident light and the initial reflected light was only 2 alpha. तो अगर ये लाइट फिक्स्ड है तो इसके रिलेटिव हम देख रहे हैं कि तुम्हारा इनिशियल रिफ्लेक्टेड लाइट यूज्ड टू मेक एन एंगल ऑफ 2 अल्फा, and now it makes a total angle of 2 alpha plus 2 theta when measured from this line, and so it has actually rotated through an angle of 2 theta. Does this make sense to all of you?
So ये क्या बोले वापस बता सकते हैं?
ये तुम्हारा नॉर्मल है.
हाँ सर.
तो इनिशियली जो है तुम्हारा लाइट थीटा एंगल मेक करता है, लेट्स से. अब अगर मैं मिरर को रोटेट कर देता हूँ, मैं ग्रीन में बना देता हूँ मिरर का नया लोकेशन, तो मिरर अगर रोटेट हो गया थ्रू एन एंगल ऑफ अल्फा, तो मिरर का नॉर्मल जो मिरर के परपेंडिकुलर है वो पुराने नॉर्मल से अल्फा एंगल रोटेट हो गया.
हाँ सर.
करेक्ट. तो जो नया रिफ्लेक्टेड लाइट है वो कहीं इधर चला गया,
वो और अल्फा से रिफ्लेक्ट होगा ना.
वो 2 अल्फा से चेंज हो गया कंपेयर टू इट्स ओरिजिनल पोजीशन. सो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज दिस एंगल इज 2 अल्फा. ठीक है.
सर वो 2 अल्फा क्यों हुआ? वो भी अल्फा होगा ना?
नहीं, वो अल्फा नहीं होगा, वो 2 अल्फा होगा.
क्योंकि वो इनिशियल फिक्स्ड है.
क्योंकि इनिशियल फिक्स्ड है, और तुम अगर तुम्हारा नॉर्मल अगर अल्फा से घूम रहा है तो एक अल्फा तो इधर इंक्रीज हो रहा है, और बाय लॉ ऑफ रिफ्लेक्शन उधर भी एक अल्फा आ गया, तो टोटलिटी में 2 अल्फा से वो चेंज हो गया, राइट?
यस.
So you can call it the deflection of reflected light. By the way, in general, there is also the fact of deviation. You can also quantify this property. Deviation is simply defined as if your mirror is fixed and a ray of light strikes the mirror. If the mirror had not been there, it would have gone on this path. But since reflection occurs, it actually ends up taking this path, right? And so this is the normal, let's say. This angle through which it has actually deflected or deviated is called deviation. I mean, the change in the path of the light due to the mirror being there. And that's easy to find. If the incidence angle is I, then so is this angle. And therefore, delta is simply pi minus 2i, right? Total pi hai, usme se twice the angle of incidence. So any ray of light, when it strikes the mirror, deflects through an angle which is given by pi minus 2i. So that's simply the deviation. This, on the other hand, is deflection of reflected light when the mirror is turned through some angle, right? And we find that if the reflected light deflects twice as much as the angle turned by mirror, correct? And then you can generalize it to velocity also, since you already know ki theta ka rate of change omega hota hai. So if this mirror, instead of turning once, is actually constantly rotating, then, and let's say it's constantly rotating at omega, then at what omega is the reflected light rotating? Twice omega. So instead of being a single one-time affair, if mirror is constantly turning at omega, the reflected light is turning at 2 omega. Okay, fine. Okay, let's do a problem based on this idea, that if your mirror is turning and the ray of light is fixed, then how do we talk about what's going on over there? Let's say there is wall here, infinitely long wall, and at some distance from the wall there is a laser source which is fixed laser. And the laser, the source, shoots a laser light straight onto a mirror which is actually pivoted onto something, and it hits right at the pivot. Okay, this is the mirror. The mirror is like the mirror can turn around the pivot. ये ऊपर से देख रहे हैं, top view of the room है, right? And this mirror is, let's say, turning at an omega of 4, right? And let's say that the distance to the pivot from the wall, this distance is, let's say, 2 meters. Fine. So what happens is, as your ray of light reflects off the mirror, it strikes the wall somewhere, and there's a spot of light on the wall. Now, due to the mirror turning, since the mirror is constantly turning, what you will end up seeing is that this spot of light on the wall is going to move on the wall, right? First of all, can you tell me, is the mirror is turning at a constant rate? The omega of the mirror is a fixed number. It always turns at the same rate. Does the spot of wall have a constant speed on the wall? Sorry, the spot of light. I don't know why I'm calling it spot of wall.
Yes, sir.
The spot of light on the wall, does it move at a constant velocity?
No.
As a result of the mirror turning at a constant omega?
No.
No, right? It doesn't. In fact, you can kind of imagine what it must actually have been doing. If the mirror was like this and the spot of light was somewhere very far, then initial parts में जब वो काफी दूरी पे चल रहा होगा,
फटाफट मूव होगा,
तो उस टाइम पे वो फटाफट मूव होगा, काफी फास्ट चलेगा वो. For any given turn of the mirror, the spot would have traveled kilometers and kilometers. By the time it arrives here, it is actually moving the slowest. So it kind of slows down and then speeds up again and goes really fast. So it's a highly accelerated motion. You can kind of visualize it by taking, let's say, imagining a torch and shooting the torch light down and then swinging the torch like this. So if the torch is moving, pointing somewhere far away, then even when the torch turns through a very small angle, that spot of light has moved through a long distance. But moving the same, turning the torch through the same angle directly here moves the spot very little. Right?
सर डिस्टेंस इंक्रीज हो रहा है, स्पीड कांस्टेंट है.
Correct. Omega constant है, but distance increase हो रहा है. So based on this information, and so since it's a highly accelerated motion for the spot, it's not a constant velocity. I can't simply say what is the velocity of the spot. I must also tell you when I'm asking you the velocity. Like I have to specify at which time or in which configuration am I asking you for the velocity of the spot. So let me specify that by saying that at some instant, the mirror makes an angle of 60 degrees from the wall like this. This angle is 60. When this angle is 60, what is the speed of the spot of light? Sorry. Find the speed of the light spot in the configuration shown. Since it is a variable, it changes. I have to also tell you when I would like you to find the speed, and that when is specified by when the mirror makes an angle of 60 degrees. So at this point in time, what is the speed of the spot? Try करो इसका आंसर, चैट पे बोलना मेरे को. नहीं से तो करेक्ट नहीं है, एंड आई टेल यू व्हाई करेक्ट नहीं है. एक प्रॉब्लम है इसमें जो तू कर रहा है. आई think really about what the laser is like. The laser is not like a rigid object. Previous page.
क्वेश्चन वाला रहने दो ना. थैंक यू सर.
अभी भी इसे तो एक फैक्टर मिसिंग है इसमें. It is close to the correct answer, but it is still missing a factor. And also it's not rad per sec, it's meter per sec. Spot moves on the wall in a linear manner. नहीं, तेजस करेक्ट नहीं है. दीपांकर करेक्ट नहीं है.
So you have not given us the exact position of the spot, right? It is just somewhere above the line extended from the mirror to the walls, right?
It's going to be somewhere below, right? Because of the fact that the mirror is already turned at 60. So if you make a normal, then you'll find that based on that angle and that angle, it will turn out to be somewhere below that line. अमिया नहीं करेक्ट नहीं है, वरुण करेक्ट नहीं है, तेजस करेक्ट नहीं है, पार्थ करेक्ट नहीं है, नहीं तेजस करेक्ट नहीं है, प्रणव करेक्ट नहीं है. सर्वेश करेक्ट नहीं है. हाँ कर लो. नहीं, 0 थी आंसर. अरे oh, this class is over at 1:30. Okay, then ठीक है, कर लो इसको फिर for homework.
45 तक है,
1:45 तक है.
वो भी हो गया.
हाँ ठीक है, चलो तो फिर ट्राई कर लो इसको, ट्राई इट आउट एंड फिर डिस्कस कर लेंगे इसको नेक्स्ट टाइम.
सर 16 आंसर.
तो अभी सही है क्या?
Should I tell the answer or should I just
हाँ.
answer?
सर अटेम्प्ट करने दीजिएगा सर.
ठीक है, आंसर मैं नहीं बोलता हूँ, चैट पे देख लेता हूँ. सेतु करेक्ट है तेरा आंसर.
वैसे आंसर की वैल्यू लिख दीजिए, नेक्स्ट टाइम बताना.
यहाँ लिख दूँ मैं?
नहीं. No,
Yes,
sir.
कुछ तो डिसाइड करो.
No, sir. Don't.
ठीक है, फाइन. ट्राई इट आउट, कर लो ट्राई एंड देन नेक्स्ट
सर ग्रुप बनाना होगा आपके साथ.
बना लो, मेरे को ऐड कर लो उसमें. ठीक है, तो बाकी नोट्स वगैरह या कुछ अगर हमें डिस्कस करना है, डाउट नोट्स तो उधर कर लेंगे. मेरा नंबर ले लो, एनी वन ऑफ यू कैन मेक. The normal timings are 12 to 1:30. Okay, but मेरा टाइम टेबल said 12:15 to 1:45 I think. So just add me to the group, all right? Okay, all right.
सर आप रिकॉर्डिंग भेज देंगे ना.
हाँ, ये नोट्स का फोटोज और रिकॉर्डिंग्स में शेयर कर दूंगा. ठीक है, थैंक यू ऑल, बाय बाय.